Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be taking a look at creating some lo-fi drum samples by resampling within Ableton. Now sometimes you'll see people say things like, yeah, you drop a bit crusher on there, but if you've ever done that, it doesn't really give you the sound like you would get from old samplers. For example, here's Redux. Let's take this off and listen to the loop. And here's with Redux on. I mean, it sounds pretty similar, though there's some reduction, of course, on the bitrate. But if we take a look at downsampling as well, this also doesn't actually sound like old samplers to me. And it doesn't actually roll off the high end. If you've ever played with like an old Roland Rompler or something like that, you'll probably have noticed that there's not a lot of high-end information. This is something you notice especially when, say, you crank up the resonance and the filter. As you go up the frequency band, there's not so much for it to sort of grab onto and boost. So we're going to take a look at a different method. I'm going to leave the bit reduction on just for fun. But what we're actually going to do is pitch up our drum kit and then record it at double speed. Then we're going to pitch it back down again. Now, I'll show you a way to do this really easily because mapping well, you don't want to sit there and go through each individual one of these to change the transpose. So what I've done is mapped it all here to one macro. I'll show you how to do that. You grab one channel or one drum cell. We open up macro. We hit map. I think I'm going to need a sample loaded in first. Let's drop in a sample. Let's do this. Whatever, that'll do, right? So you grab your sample and you go to the transpose. Then we go to map, transpose. We click on that, it's highlighted. Then we click on map and it's created the assignment. Next we're gonna, well, on the Mac it's Alt, I can't remember what it is on Windows, but we're gonna copy it across. And that is gonna nicely copy all of the mapping for us as well. And we can do this here and fill up the entire group, and then, or as many as you need. And then let's get out of map mode here, and let's actually drop in some drums. So here's a clap. Now, one thing to note is if you drag a sample here into or onto the cell, you're going to lose your mapping. So we're going to Control Z or Command Z, and what we're going to do is highlight this and then drop it in the window instead. That will maintain the transpose mapping here. And then you can do that with, you know, a whole bunch of different things. So let's just put in a kick. We're going to highlight this and drop it in here. And then you just keep on doing this. And in the end, you'll end up with the ability to sort of globally transpose here. If I just show you. Now I also added in some swing, which for a loop like this is pretty important. And let's take a listen. Global transpose. So let's get rid of that because we're not going to use that. We've got this instead. There's our double pitch. Let's go to double BPM. And we're going to open up an audio channel here. And we're going to take the routing and set it to resampling. This is going to listen to whatever is playing within Ableton. We're going to hit record and we're good to go. That'll do. Now we're going to drop back down to 120 BPM. Now, if you have the default Ableton setting, it's probably going to be on beats. It's going to sound like this. We're going to switch this to repitch. That's proper dirty and lo-fi. Let's take a look at the spectrum. Let's go to 8. And you can see that roll off there. If we go back to, let's copy it over here. Oh, I've already got one loaded, but whatever. Let's take a listen now. You see all that high-end information, even if we pitch down, no matter what you do, it's there. And this is with this plugin on here too. And as I showed you before, it just creates all kinds of weird bandwidth stuff. But if we go back to this one, super lo-fi, it's lovely. Actually, another thing you can do here is we'll go to about 1 bar, I think, and it'll cut off that end bit too, give you this real clean beginning to your loop. As you can see here, there's a little bit of overlap. We can accentuate this too. If we were to redo this, we'll go to this sound here. Let's turn this on. And downsampling's on there. And we'll hit the reverb. Okay, so let's do the same thing again. 240. We'll come over here and we'll upsample. And you don't have to set this to 12. We could do 11, for example, and then we'll get an even lower pitch, deeper sound. But let's just take a listen to it now. And then we'll come back here. We'll go back to 120. Man, that's dirty. It's clipping. Really clipping. That's pretty dirty though. Let's remove this bit reduction here and we'll do it again. 240. By the way, if you didn't know, you can just type in your BPM here. Let's record. We'll go back down. And you can hear that reverb now. It's really lo-fi, and we can just cut that off here. And just go back to what I was saying earlier, you can just go up to 11 semitones, for example. And we can go to our 240 again. And we'll come back down. That's really low. Now, it is very lo-fi, so we can spice it up a little bit. We'll do some stereo widening. Maybe add in some EQ just to try to bring back some of the top end. Just a little bit. In fact, if you wanted to, you could boost the top end as well before you go into downsampling. So let's go back to this. Turn that off. Which is kind of reminiscent of what I've heard some engineers say. They used to record with a lot of top end boost into tape, knowing that the tape would reduce the high end. So let's take a listen to how that sounds. All right, we'll come back down. Take that off. So it's really up to you how you want to do it. And there's a bunch of stuff you can do with the original loop as well, like distortion. I found that putting on some heavy-handed compressors that distort as well can be really cool before you go into the downsampling. So let's take this right here. Let's take a listen to the final result here. Crazy different results there. So different with bit crush on, different with distortion and compression. Everything comes out sounding different from how it went in to the downsampling. So I really enjoy that because you're never quite sure what you're going to get. And this is just from a couple of plugins before we went to downsample. There's all kinds of effects we could try on this, and I've been having a lot of fun experimenting with it as well. Now realistically, I don't know if I would actually do it on a full loop. I'd probably do it sample by sample, but of course that takes time. And just for quickness sake, I wanted to show you how to get this going. Now one more thing to note is we only went up to double pitch and double speed. You can quadruple it and you get some really lo-fi stuff. And you can do this with vocals and all kinds of things. It's a lot of fun to experiment. So go and have fun with this. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.